Pacific Community Resources Society is a large not-for-profit agency providing service to vulnerable youth and families across the Lower Mainland.
Our vision is everyone thriving in strong, healthy communities.
Our mission is inspiring healthy and inclusive communities through leadership and collaboration.
Since 2004, PCRS has been providing youth services to vulnerable youth and families in the City of Surrey out of 2 large youth hubs, one in Newton and one in City Centre.
PCRS provides supports to young people to exit a situation or lifestyle where they are at risk of or currently being trafficked or exploited. Our staff provide case management, support services, connections to other community supports, and collaboration with other agencies. Our programs operate in Surrey, Cloverdale, and Delta for youth ages 13 to 18 years old.
Stop the Sexual Exploitation of Children and Youth Awareness Week occurs every March in British Columbia. This week is dedicated to raising awareness about sexual exploitation and human trafficking in the province. This week recognizes the importance of supporting communities to develop education, prevention, and intervention strategies to address the sexual exploitation and human trafficking of children and youth. Fuchsia-colored ribbons symbolize an effort in preventing the sexual exploitation of children and youth. It is a combination of red for the red light district and purple, the provincial color for violence prevention. Communities and agencies across the province wear this ribbon in an effort to raise awareness of sexual exploitation and human trafficking of children and youth. This video series is to educate you about the signs of sexual exploitation and human trafficking, from grooming tactics to the methods of recruitment, where exploitation happens, how to access supports, and how to find out more information. We want to raise awareness that exploitation doesn't just happen in other parts of the country or the world, but that it happens right here in our own city and in our own neighborhoods. We want to provide you with the resources to be able to recognize and prevent exploitation of our children and youth.
My experience with SAY workers has been extremely positive. I've really learned how to love myself more and how to appreciate the joys and the happiness of life, to tell the difference between right and wrong, and that I don't have to surround myself with negative or toxic people to feel loved. They've helped connect me to a bunch of great supports in my life, such as my drug and alcohol counselor, the school that I'm going to, and all my amazing workers that have been with me through my journey. They've truly showed me that it's better off to love myself than to look for other people's approval to love myself.
Sexual exploitation is the sexual abuse of a child or youth under the age of 18 through the exchange of sexual acts for drugs, food, shelter, and money. Grooming occurs when someone befriends or establishes an emotional connection with a child or youth with the intention of sexual exploitation. In Canada, the legal age to consent to sexual activity is 16. The Criminal Code of Canada also states, however, that it is illegal for a young person under the age of 18 to consent to sexual activity with an adult in a position of trust, authority, or dependency, such as a teacher, a caregiver, or a religious leader.
Human trafficking involves the recruitment, transportation, harboring, and/or exercising control, direction, or influence over the movement of a person in order to exploit them.
This would look like a trafficker telling the young person what to do, when they can leave, or when they cannot leave. Traffickers would transport the person to different cities, provinces, or countries for the purpose of sexually exploiting them for money.
Recruitment is the process of manipulation, force, threats, and lies predators use to carefully select and engage a young person to be exploited.
Historically, sexual exploitation happened more openly and was seen as street-level sex work. Now, however, we see it happening in apartments, homes, and hotels. It's important for everyone to be aware that sexual exploitation and human trafficking happens in our cities and in our neighborhoods.
It is not a choice to be exploited or trafficked, especially if you are a young person. In 2011, Reza Mozami was charged with 36 counts of sexual exploitation and sexual abuse to victims ranging in age from 14 to 19 years old. These offenses occurred in Vancouver, Richmond, and North Vancouver. In 2015, Reza Mozami was sentenced to 23 years in prison. This is the first human trafficking conviction for British Columbia.
Out of 865 victims of human trafficking between 2009 and 2016, 72% of the victims were under the age of 25. 26% were less than 18 years old, and 44% were between 18 and 24.
At PCRS, we have outreach teams that spend time walking through the community to meet youth. Depending on a young person's need, they can provide support such as food, toiletries, and harm reduction supplies.
Sexual exploitation and human trafficking are recognizable and preventable to anyone with the proper information. Some signs of exploitation include, but are not limited to, a change in regular friend group, getting hair, nails, and makeup done, wearing expensive items with no means to afford them, engaging in alcohol and substance use, and dating older partners.
They are often invited by a friend who they trust to attend parties with free alcohol and drugs and have an understanding that they do not have to pay anyone back for what they use or consume. Another indicator of exploitation is an unhealthy relationship with their partner. The relationship can be unstable as they are regularly breaking up and getting back together. A toxic relationship can look like physical violence, emotional or verbal abuse such as swearing, yelling, slapping, burning, spitting, and hair pulling. It can be difficult to leave a manipulative relationship.
A young person may isolate themselves from their regular friend group and withdraw from activities that they were previously passionate about. They may also tell you that they owe someone money, but they're unwilling to share how they accumulated that debt.
They may be scared of their partner and do not want to talk about what is happening to them. Young people from homes where there is family conflict are often more vulnerable. However, youth from all backgrounds are at risk.
It is important to highlight that exploitation does not only happen to females. Sexual exploitation and human trafficking can happen to any gender orientation, race, age, or background.
A 2014 report by the Canadian Women's Foundation found that 51% of trafficked women and girls had been or were involved in the child welfare system, and 50% of those were Indigenous.
Females under the age of 25 years represented 70% of all the victims of police-reported human trafficking.
Recruitment for sexual exploitation can happen anywhere, but the most common methods of recruitment is through social media apps, such as Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram, or dating apps intended for adults. Other areas of recruitment are malls, SkyTrain stations, bus loops, local businesses that offer free Wi-Fi, and through friends who have already been recruited. Similar to the gang life, exploiters will use grooming tactics such as showering the young person with expensive gifts, offering to get their hair, eyelashes, and makeup done, and promising unconditional love.
They will often target vulnerable young people who have multiple barriers, unhealthy relationships with their family, and who seek love and attention. The exploiters will promise a lifestyle of expensive items whenever they desire, friends who care for and love them, drugs and alcohol, shelter with no rules, and protection.
Exploiters will recruit young people to recruit their friends to come to parties where drugs and alcohol are offered for free. Exploiters will offer youth money if they have sex or perform sexual acts with someone they know or who they have recently met.
Often exploiters start off by telling young people that they don't have to pay them back for food, shelter, drugs, or alcohol. Eventually, though, they become aggressive and violent, demanding money or sex work in trade. Exploiters will also develop a friendship or an intimate relationship with young people to help manipulate them into gaining their trust, love, and respect. At that point, it becomes increasingly difficult to separate a young person from them.
In the Regina versus Mozambique case, we learned that Mozambique transported youth to Alberta, where he forced girls to stay in a hotel room, did not allow them to leave without his permission, provided them with drugs, and made them perform sexual acts to clients, all for the purpose of money.
It is important to talk to the young people in your life about the signs of sexual exploitation to help them understand and recognize when they may be at risk.
When talking to youth, please ensure you use proper language. Focus on words like sexual exploitation and human trafficking.
It is important to talk about healthy relationships, asking them what they want in a relationship, what they think is a healthy relationship, so that they can draw the connection in their own minds rather than being told what is right or wrong.
Talking to them about consent to sexual activity by asking them to understand what consent means, you are helping them form their own thoughts and beliefs about this sensitive topic. Being open, consistent, supportive, and non-judgmental is crucial to keeping an open communication with them. This approach will set the tone for the conversation and hopefully make them feel comfortable to ask you questions.
Talk about stories published in the news about sexual exploitation and human trafficking cases. Be open about personal experiences and life lessons that you may have had while growing up. For more tools and skills on how to talk to the youth in your life, you can visit the Need Help Now website for more information.
If you suspect that someone you know is being sexually exploited and you don't feel comfortable reporting it to the police, you can check out the CyberTips website where you can make an anonymous report about any form of sexual abuse. If you are a victim or a survivor of sexual exploitation or human trafficking, you can reach out to the Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline, where advocates will help connect you to services and supports in your home community.